If you feel like you are currently going through a season where you're not sure of who you are, of what your direction is, fear not, this video is made for you. You have spent decades on this planet accumulating a full suite of skills, full suite of experiences, and putting yourself into just a couple of words or a catchphrase can often feel like it dismisses or does disservice to the full spectrum of who you are. The full holistic being of your entire experience and everything you've brought upon. I've been getting a couple of DMs that have looked a little bit like this recently. And what is it that you do? Hi, so what exactly do you do? Legitimately cold, like opening DM out of the blue. Of course, the context of some of these DMs is that I was tagged by a fellow creator or a friend that shouted out some of my work in a collaboration or project that we've had on an ongoing basis. And so people just try and ascertain immediately what you do so that in their mind, they can box you in and then cast whatever stereotypes or judgments or expectations on top of you. Now, when I'm faced with these kind of questions or prompts, I often stare at these messages quite blankly, and it's not because I don't have an answer, because like you, I feel like I have too many. It's never just been one thing. To define you as a singular aspect is just a snapshot of a particular season of your life, of a job, of a role, of a position, of an interest, of a curiosity that you might happen to be following. And in this confusion, it must have been fortunate that the IG algorithm gods read my mind or my DMs and queued up this next video from Thomas Wormsley, which I thought was just a beautiful summation of, I guess, the challenge or the dilemma that I was going on. I'll read out the quote. That's kind of the key one to take out. I'll include a link to his profile, specifically the video, in the description underneath this. You should become undefinable, otherwise you will become replaceable. If you can describe your entire existence to someone in a single word or a job, you become one-dimensional, niched, and replaceable. Let's be honest. We live in a world that loves a tidy little title, a nice little clean one: designer, coach, strategist, brand manager. The reality is, if you're really honest with yourself, we all own a little bit of all of these traits. In some capacity, we're all along the spectrum. It's not binary, you are or you're not. You each lie somewhere on the spectrum of each of these and so many more. Because the reality is I'm none of them, but I'm kind of all of them in a paradoxical way. Like I'm a blend or a bit of a walking contradiction. To give you the best example that literally is defined and it was out of my control at birth, I'm the byproduct of a biracial marriage. My mother is Ukrainian, my late father, Ugandan heritage. So from the outset, I couldn't even deny it. I was already a walking paradox, two different cultures clashing from completely different walks of life. That meant that no matter what I did in my life, I could never be defined by a single ethnicity, racial ideology, or any kind of dogma that was just relating to any of my parents. And you, my friend, you watching this, you are the byproduct of two different parents and their entire lineage, all their experiences and all their stories that have been synthesized and blended into you, combined with everything you've ever done in your entire life. And I know for a fact you're more than your current job title. In fact, 10 years ago, 1 decade ago, you had no idea, nor could any way fathom you were going to be where you are today, right now. There's no way you could have predicted it to a T. No matter how much money you would have been offered. And right now, you can't predict where you're going to be in 10 years because it is going to be the byproduct of millions of micro decisions and crossroad moments that you still haven't even faced yet. You only got to where you were as a result of following your innate curiosities, your values, all of these internal and external motivators that led you to where you are. And as Dan Coe quips, be a designer, writer, marketer, socializer, runner, bodybuilder, philosopher, scientist, psychologist, and polymath that knows how to sustain their obsessive curiosity. Subscribing to one skill, ideology, or identity limits your potential in every situation. Have you ever noticed where you felt a pressure to conform to a single viewpoint? It might be a political viewpoint, a racial, a philosophical, whatever it may be. But there are sometimes challenges or incongruences you might have because you realize that you might believe with 70, 80, 90% of the shared views, beliefs, values, dogma of a particular school of thought, but there's a small portion that for the life of you, you just cannot resonate with, you do not align with. And you feel this tension or this incongruence because you're not the complete embodiment of this complete packaged set of ideology. Well, my friend, that is the dilemma of being a human. You are always going to be this unique concoction, this unique combinatorics of all of these different values and beliefs and philosophies you've picked up that resonate with just you as an individual. No one's ever going to change that, no matter what upbringing you had or what your parents believe or what your peers around you or your neighbors all believe in. There are always going to be areas of difference. This keeps popping up in my friends' lives. In fact, I'm having conversations with my partner about how we're seeing different situations bring out differences in values with people that we've known for years, whether it's friends or family. And if it wasn't for these situations, we would have never have known that we differed on these viewpoints. It sometimes takes certain circumstances to bring up that contrast or that adversity. And that's also what makes the world so beautiful. How boring would it be if we all agreed with the same shit? If we all saw the world through the exact same lens and we sat around with no tension, with no debate, with no creative clashes that happen between minds or ideas or any kind of viewpoints of the world. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm assuming that would be a pretty bland existence. The only way that I live, believe, and breathe this is by looking back at my last few decades on this planet. I realized that I have tried to absorb and take on differing viewpoints and ideologies, but realized that there was never one singular one I subscribed to. In fact, it was this ongoing process of blending and synthesizing them in a way that was true and unique to myself. I'd take certain elements of different skills or experiences or, books I'd read or thought leaders in my world, but I reject others, and I'd end up finding a bit of a philosophy or a religion of self that I subscribe to. And I'm hoping by the end of this video, you consider doing the same, because not even me, not even your favorite gurus are going to tell you how to manage every single aspect of your life. That's actually the mission and the discovery that you get to go on. As an example, during my uni years, I co-ran an events DJing duo called #DoneCookedDJs. We didn't nail the branding, but we bloody delivered an incredible product and incredible service, and we had a lot of fun doing it. We packed dance floors, we played all the hits, we also got hit on, and can you blame us? There's my boy, Lukey B and Mamba tearing up on the decks, looking schmick as ever. But the reality was I couldn't keep lugging DJ gear to venues across all of Melbourne every single Friday and Saturday night while I was getting literally barked at by drunk party goers to play their favorite songs over and over, even if I literally played it 2 tracks ago. I just wasn't gonna do it forever. My sleep was wrecked. I'd wake up with nightmares that a party goer had keyed my car or Lukey B's car. But this side hustle taught me more about business than I did in a 3.5-year, $30,000 degree at one of Australia's leading universities. It taught me skills themselves will not sell themselves. You need to learn how to market and sell them. Nothing matters more than delivering a world-class product or service, and no one is too cool or sober to get up for Gimme Gimme Gimme, A Man After Midnight by ABBA. Young and old, we've played in all circumstances, sober, drunk, lawn bowls, 21st, 30th, 50th, corporate parties, you name it. Everyone gets on the dance floor for one of those. But I digress, going a little bit off piste here. Later on, in my final years of university, I tried a door-to-door commission-based sales job. Hundreds of rejections. It was in the summer. I think the days were like 30, 35 degrees. We were doing laps of this outer suburb region. I remember, I swear, it was probably one of the most embarrassing, humbling jobs I ever had to do. I won't share the organization, but we were signing up donors for ongoing contributions towards different charitable causes. And we were the door-to-door salespeople, arm-to-arm, door-based guerrilla sales, having to learn everything about sales, tactics, psychology, and how to build rapport. And honestly, it was one of the most brutal and humbling experiences I went through, but it was one of the best things I ever did. It felt like fear exposure or fear therapy, where I had to continue getting exposed to facing my fear every time I walked down a driveway, knocking on someone's door, wanting to run away before they even opened it, because I had to learn how to pitch ideas and propose with confidence to complete strangers. I had to learn how to basically build resilience really quickly and bounce back from lots of rejection. I'm talking, we might have had, I don't know, out of 100 door knocks, maybe 2 or 3 people chose to subscribe. I had to swallow 97 to 98 people saying no to me. This is no experience I'd ever had in my life to this level. I found my voice and I learned how to persuade others and build rapport with powerful storytelling, how to create connection with people really, really quickly. And that has served me in so many years later in jobs in marketing, leadership, even being the best man and the MC for one of my secondary school friends at his wedding. And then there was also my attempt at running a social media agency. It's where I started my humble entrepreneurial beginnings once leaving my second 9-to-5 job. I tried to scale. I tried to manage multiple brands and multiple people simultaneously, but I quickly realized I didn't want to run an agency. I burnt out. I didn't want to scale a team. I didn't want to outsource. It just wasn't in my DNA of who I was destined to be. But you best believe I learned how to scale and operationalize myself. I learned systems, I learned workflows, and I learned automations. I learned how to basically multiply and leverage myself. So for every one input, I could get 2, 3, 4x my return. And now I am effectively running a lean, high margin solo operator business or solopreneur business with occasional support from contractors. And rest in peace to our beloved cat, Leo, a little man who we unfortunately lost a few months ago, but he was, I would consider, effectively my first hire. And during my early years when I was working from home and grinding things out, hustling hard to close my first few clients and learn how to deliver great ongoing services, retainers, and eventually getting referrals, he was there through it all. So I want to shout out and put a little dedication to our little man called Leo. Now that I look back at each of these failures, they were essentially micro investments into the portfolio of complementary skills that I had. I was building my versatility and my adaptability with this full set of skills. That's why I wouldn't ever singularly define myself as a single thing. They were all just stacking and layering on, building the foundation of my authority. This massive suite of tools that I can now draw upon in different scenarios, in different projects or endeavors in the future. So rather than investing all of your money in just one singular stock and betting big on it, like a specialist trying to be the top 1% of their field, it could set you up for catastrophe if that singular skill becomes redundant. And we are seeing that as of the time of this recording, October 2025 onwards, mark my words, we're going to see a world in which traditional specialists are going to be challenged. Their industries are going to be disrupted because of having highly specialized information is what used to be the arbitrage. The commoditization and accessibility of AI is making that really, really hard to be a defensible moat. But having someone that can blend a unique series of skills across different domains and different expertise makes you versatile, makes you adaptable, makes you a one of one for having that unique set of skills that you blend together in a way that nobody else can replicate, even AI. Now, speaking of AI, I tried to ask it to create an analogy or a visual. I don't think it's quite there yet, but it kind of got my brief anyway. If you imagine like a diversified skill set being the green line on this diagram over here, but whereas if you have a single skill, you may have booms, you may have periods when it's in high demand, but all of a sudden, if the industry gets disrupted or there's a new technology, for example, in the early 20th century, those who thought they had a comfortable career as being a horse and cart driver before the production line vehicle was introduced by Henry T. Ford and many other car manufacturers, all of a sudden, an entire industry overnight gone. Or this one's a little bit more relevant to me. I joined an early stage startup called Uber at a time when the taxi industry was being heavily disrupted because of the new way of requesting rides, of a cleaner, simpler, cheaper, more affordable and user-friendly way of getting a ride whenever you need it. Sure, there was a lot of resistance, but the writing was on the wall that this is what consumers were pushing for. By branching out into different domains and trying multiple things, trying and failing at multiple things is actually giving you the resilience to be able to adapt if necessary and draw upon more tools in your arsenal if necessary. See, that portfolio of failures enables you to shape a meaningful career or a business that is aligned with your true interests and your skills. The late Steve Jobs shares a beautiful quote that I hold very close to my heart. And it goes like this: the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. When you're able to find work that is meaningful to you, that is, you're able to ride through the breakdowns and the breakthroughs. You have the ambition to continue pursuing it because it is a natural extension of who you are. That, my friend, is a zone that no one can compete with, not even AI. You'll find a way to tap into and elevate everything you already are in a way that is rare, powerful, and is your real edge. So, you might be asking, Mamba, what do you actually do? And my honest answer is, my friend, it changes every year, and I hope that continues for as long as I live. And I hope the same for you. I hope you never get to a point where you plateau or you settle for less, because I'm okay with it. And honestly, it doesn't always fit into a neat little LinkedIn headline, which I feel like I've probably changed 100 times or more. So I hope this video served you. And I thought I'd leave you with a little bonus goodie that you might relate to. This is legitimately how I react when someone asks me the question, so what do you do? And on the left is everything I feel like I could say. And on the right, sometimes is a short and sweet answer that I end up giving them. If you want to dive a little bit more into a framework that I have developed from my own experience and observing others of how to develop, evolve, and reinvent yourself and your career, no matter if you're pursuing a traditional form of employment or building your own business, then I think you should check this video out. It's going to bring a lot of value. So I'll see you there.